The hall was quiet. Aliens from many different species sat in rows, watching the large screen at the front. The Grand Academy of Galactic History was one of the most important places in the galaxy. Here, students learned about the past, about great empires, fallen kings, lost planets, and ancient wars. But today's class felt different. Something was missing from the lesson. Professor Val, an old creature with gray skin and 6 eyes, stood before the students. He pointed at the screen. It showed a list of past galactic powers, strong empires, cruel rulers, and great warriors. But one line near the bottom was strange. It was blacked out. No name. No information. Just a long, dark space. A curious student, a young Threxian named Naro, raised his hand. "Professor, what was here? Why is that name hidden?" The room went still. Even the air felt heavier. Professor Val looked around carefully, then turned off the screen. "We do not speak that name," he said quietly. "It is banned." Naro frowned. "But why? Who decides which name is allowed or not?" "The Galactic Council," the professor replied. "They removed all records of that species from our history. Asking questions about them is dangerous." A soft murmur filled the hall. The students were confused. How could history be removed like that? What kind of power did someone have to erase a name from the galaxy's memory? Another student, a small green-furred creature named Lulo, whispered, "I heard they were monsters." "No," said another. "I heard they were gods." The rumors began to grow. No one had ever seen the species. Their name was missing from the database. No pictures, no voice records, not even a planet. It was like they had been erased from existence. But Naro couldn't let it go. That dark line on the screen stayed in his mind. It wasn't just a missing name. It was a secret, a big one. And secrets like that usually meant power or fear. Later that day, Naro went to the Academy's library. It was a huge place, with millions of files and documents. But he can hear the same black line appeared. Every time he searched, the system said, "Access denied. Forbidden data." Naro tried different tricks. Code loops, backdoor entries, even old data backups. Nothing worked. Everything about that name was locked behind layers of security. That only made him more curious. He visited an old maintenance spot that had been part of the Academy for hundreds of years. It was slow, rusty, and mostly ignored. But old machines sometimes remembered things that others forgot. "Do you remember a species that was removed?" Naro asked. The bot's light blinked. It buzzed for a moment. Then it whispered a word, almost like it was afraid. "Humans." The word echoed in Naro's mind. He had never heard it before. It felt strange and powerful. He asked the bot again, but it had already shut down, as if saying that one word had used all its energy. Naro returned to his room, his heart racing. The word humans kept spinning in his head. He didn't know what it meant, but he felt something shift inside him, like the air around him had changed. The next day, Professor Val didn't come to class. A new teacher, one from the council, stood in his place. Cold, quiet, and serious. She gave the students a list of banned topics. At the top was one word: humans. Naro's eyes widened. They knew someone had asked questions. They were watching. That night, his room lights flickered. His communicator beeped with a strange message. "Stop digging, young one. Some truths are buried for a reason." He looked around. Was he being watched? Followed? He closed the screen quickly, but he knew it was too late. He had found something dangerous, something forbidden. But now he couldn't stop, because he had touched a shadow, and in that shadow, something had moved. Something was still there, watching, waiting. And Naro was sure of one thing now. The galaxy had not forgotten the humans. It was afraid of them. Naro didn't sleep that night. He sat on his bed, staring at the wall, the word humans echoing in his mind again and again. The more he thought about it, the more it felt wrong. No, not wrong, hidden. Something powerful had been buried on purpose. The next morning, he noticed strange things. His room felt colder. His datapad, which always worked fine, now showed errors. His classmates looked at him differently. Not with anger. Something else. Fear. Lulo came to him quietly. "You need to stop, Naro," he said, eyes wide. "They're watching you now." "Who?" Naro asked, though he already knew. "The council. You spoke the forbidden name." "How do you know?" Naro asked. Lulo looked around nervously. "Because I did the same thing. Last year." Naro sat up. "What happened?" "I found an old star map," Lulo whispered. "It showed a system. Just numbers, no name. I searched for it and got locked out of the library for a week. My family got a warning. They said if I asked again, I'd be removed from the academy." Naro felt a chill move up his spine. "Did you ever find out what it was?" "No," Lulo said, "but I think it was Earth." Naro had never heard that word either. Earth. It felt heavy, important. He decided he needed to leave the academy. Not forever, just a short trip. If the truth was buried, it wouldn't be found in textbooks. He needed to speak with someone who lived through it, if they still existed. There was a place in the outer rings of the galaxy, a cold, silent moon called Varnex 7. It was home to old war veterans, aliens who fought in battles the galaxy no longer talked about. Some called them mad. Others called them dangerous. Naro just hoped one of them remembered the humans. He booked a cargo ride, paid with saved credits, and kept his name off the travel list. No one was supposed to know he left. Not the academy, not the council, but someone did. As the transport ship drifted through space, a soft light blinked on Naro's screen. "Unauthorized travel detected. Return to base immediately." He stared at the warning. The message vanished after a second. It wasn't from the ship's system. It came from somewhere else, somewhere deep. He ignored it. When he reached Varnex 7, the sky was always dark. Snow fell in slow waves. The buildings were old, rusted, and quiet. Creatures with missing limbs and old armor moved slowly, their faces hidden behind masks. Naro walked into a broken-down tavern. Inside, smoke floated in the air. Old music played in the background, low and strange. He sat at the counter and asked the server, "I need to speak to someone who remembers the war. The real one." The server didn't answer, but a voice behind Naro said, "No one wants to remember that war, kid." Naro turned around. A tall figure with a metal arm and glowing red eye sat in the corner. His armor was cracked, but still carried the symbol of the Galactic Army. "Were you there?" Naro asked. The figure nodded once. "I was part of the unit that went to Sector 9X, the place where they lived." Naro sat across from him. The humans. The figure's eye blinked. "You shouldn't say that name." "Why?" Naro asked. "What did they do?" "They didn't do anything," the old soldier said. "We did. We went there to conquer them. Thought they were weak. Soft. Just one planet. One species. We were wrong." "What happened?" Naro whispered. "We sent a fleet," the soldier said. 72 ships. Full weapons. High Command expected full control in 2 days. Naro leaned in closer. The tavern had gone quiet. "Only one ship came back," the soldier continued. "Mine. And it was half destroyed." "How?" Naro asked. The soldier looked him in the eyes. "Because they didn't fight with just weapons. They fought with will. With ideas. They turned machines into ghosts. They made our leaders question their own minds. They didn't just destroy ships. They broke our spirits." Naro's voice trembled. "Then what did the council do?" "They made a deal," the soldier said. "Promised peace. Promised silence. In return, the humans agreed to disappear. No contact. No memory. The council wiped their name, their history, their world from the records. Why would the humans agree to that? Naro asked. The soldier's voice dropped. Because they knew one day someone would come looking again, and they wanted the galaxy to forget until they were ready. Ready for what? Naro asked, barely able to breathe. The soldier didn't answer. He just looked at the stars through the window. Then he whispered, "They're still out there, waiting, and they remember everything." Outside, snow fell heavier. In the distance, a satellite blinked silently. Watching, recording, and somewhere deep in space, something ancient began to stir. Naro left the tavern without saying goodbye. The soldier's last words had shaken him. They're still out there, waiting. It felt less like a warning and more like a promise. He stepped out into the cold wind of Varnak 7, his thoughts heavy and fast. If what the soldier said was true, then the council had lied. Not just to him, but to the whole galaxy. He walked quickly to the small port where his cargo shuttle was waiting. The old transport pilot, a one-eyed reptilian named Kerr, raised an eyebrow as Naro climbed back in. "Did you find what you were looking for, little scholar?" Kerr asked. "I found a ghost," Naro said, "and it knows we forgot it." Kerr didn't ask more questions. The engines powered up, and they flew into space again, heading back toward the inner systems. But Naro didn't plan to return to the Academy. He had a new mission now. He had to find Earth. Back in his cabin, he connected his datapad to the ship's system. He opened the ancient star maps he had copied from the Academy library. They showed thousands of systems, but most had names. Only a few were blank, marked as non-cataloged or unknown. He remembered what Lulo had said, a system with only numbers. He searched again and found it. System 438 key. No planet names, no known life, no trade routes, no visitors. It was a dead zone. He entered the coordinates into the system. Kerr grumbled but agreed to change course. "Bad idea flying into forgotten space," Kerr muttered. "Things get lost out there." "I need to see it," Naro said. 2 days passed in silence. Then, finally, the ship reached the edge of System 438K. At first, there was nothing. Just stars and empty space. Then, Naro saw it. A blue planet, glowing quietly among the darkness. The sensors lit up. Readings were strange. The planet was alive. Green lands, deep oceans, clouds. But there were no signals, no ships, no satellites. It looked untouched. "Is that Earth?" Naro asked. Kerr squinted. "If it is, it's sleeping." Naro stared at the planet for a long time. It didn't feel dead. It felt hidden, like something underneath was waiting. Then, a low tone rang out in the ship. A signal, but not from the planet. From space, a small object was floating nearby. Old, metal, spinning slowly. Kerr caught it with the ship's grabber arm and pulled it inside. It was a satellite. Ancient, covered in dust, but still running. Naro opened its data core. It held one message. "To those who remember, we have not forgotten." That was all. No name, no voice, just that message. Kerr stepped back. "That's human tech," he whispered. "I've seen it once, back in the war. We tried to destroy it. It rebuilt itself." Naro touched the satellite's surface. It was warm, alive in some strange way. He looked at the screen again. "They left this for someone. Someone like me." Kerr shook his head. "No, kid. They left it for the future. They knew someone would return. They wanted to be found." Naro stood up. "I'm going down there." Kerr's eyes widened. "What? Are you crazy?" "I have to see it," Naro said. "If no one remembers, then the truth is already lost. But I remember now. I saw the name. I heard the stories. I read the message." He paused. "I can't look away anymore." Kerr didn't argue. He just set the ship to descend. The shuttle broke through the clouds. Earth was beautiful. The air was clean. The forests below looked untouched. The planet had healed. As the ship landed in a quiet valley, Naro stepped out onto the grass. The wind was soft. The sky was clear, but something felt strange, like eyes watching from every tree. Then he saw it. In the middle of the valley stood a statue. Not broken, not buried. A statue of a human. Tall, strong, standing with a hand raised, as if offering peace or warning. At the base of the statue were words carved in many languages. We chose silence, not weakness. We chose peace, not surrender. But we remember, and we are watching. Naro's heart pounded. The stories were true. The humans had not been destroyed. They had left, by choice. And now, even in their silence, they spoke louder than ever. Kerr called out from the shuttle. We need to go. Something's coming. Naro turned and saw the sky changing. Dark shapes in the clouds. Not ships, not animals. Satellites. Dozens of them. Moving. Activating. The message had been received, and Earth was waking up. Naro ran back to the shuttle, breath heavy, mind spinning. As the ship lifted off, he looked down at the planet. Not dead. Not forgotten. Just waiting. As the stars swallowed them once more, he whispered to himself. They were never gone. They were just waiting for someone to remember. The shuttle flew fast, but not fast enough to escape the feeling that Earth had seen them. The dark satellites hadn't followed, but their quiet movement, their sudden awakening, haunted Naro's mind. In the silence of space, he kept thinking about that message on the statue. We chose silence, not weakness. He couldn't unsee what he had found. Earth was alive. The humans were not extinct. They had hidden themselves, hidden their power. But why? Back on Varnak 7, the Council had taught that the humans were gone, burned out in wars they started. But what Naro saw told a different story. Earth was untouched. No ruins, no scars, no damage. If there had been a war, it hadn't reached them. He sat in the quiet cabin of the ship, rewatching the satellite message. To those who remember, we have not forgotten. That meant someone else might already know the truth. Maybe someone in the council. Maybe they all knew. The thought made his stomach turn. Kerr entered the room, holding a cup of dark liquid. You okay, scholar? Naro nodded. No, not really. Kerr sat beside him. I told you it was better not to look too deep. I didn't think they'd still be watching, Naro whispered. We believed they were gone. Every student, every historian, even the books, nothing ever said humans just chose to disappear. Kerr's voice dropped. That's because saying the truth is dangerous. Why? Naro asked. Why hide it? Kerr leaned in. Because if the galaxy knew that humans left, not lost, then everything changes. People would ask why they left. What were they planning? What made them dangerous enough to be erased? Naro stared at the datapad. They banned the name Earth. They banned the word human. They made the entire system disappear from star maps. That's not fear of a dead enemy. That's fear of a sleeping one. The ship jumped through hyperspace again, and Kerr landed them near a quiet trade moon orbiting Eltris 9. Naro had to tell someone, but not the council. Not now. He sent a message to someone he trusted. Her name was Renaya, a truth-seeker like him, but one who had vanished years ago after asking too many questions about humanity. To his surprise, she replied within hours, Meet me at Dock 42. Come alone. Trust no one. Kerr raised his head when Naro left. You sure about this? No, Naro said. But I can't forget what I saw. I need to know more. Dock 42 was hidden behind rows of empty freighters. A small figure in a gray cloak waited beside an old transport. When Naro walked closer, the figure lifted her hood. It was Renea. She looked older, thinner, but her eyes still burned with curiosity. "You found it, didn't you?" she asked. Naro nodded. "Earth is still there, and it's watching." Renea didn't seem shocked. "I knew it. The moment I found the old forbidden texts, I knew the story wasn't over." "Why hide the truth?" Naro asked again. Renea's face darkened. "Because humans didn't disappear. They chose exile. They saw where the galaxy was heading: corruption, fear, endless war. And they didn't want to be part of it anymore. They just walked away." Naro asked. "No," Renea said. "They warned us. Once, at the final council meeting. Their last ambassador stood before all the high races and said, 'You will forget us, but we will not forget you. And when the stars shake, we will return. Not in peace, not in war, but in judgment.'" Naro felt cold. "They left because they didn't trust us. They left because they knew we'd turn on them the moment we feared them," Renea whispered. "And we did." "Then why not fight back?" Naro asked. "Because fighting back would have proved we were right to fear them," she replied. "So they vanished. Let the story rot." Naro looked down. "But now someone knows I went there. The satellites moved when I got close. I think they marked me." Renea's eyes widened. "Then we don't have much time." Suddenly, an alarm blared outside. They rushed to the port window. A black ship had entered orbit. Sleek, silent. It bore no symbols, no markings. It was not from any known fleet. Renea whispered, "They've come." Naro stepped back. "You mean?" She nodded. "Earth never left the galaxy, Naro. They just stopped talking. But they always had watchers, hidden fleets, ghost ships, waiting. The black ship did not open fire. It simply hovered, watching." Then, Naro's datapad buzzed again. A new message. No signal source. Just 4 words. "We remember your face." Renea stared at the screen. "They marked you as a witness. That means they're watching what you do next. If you speak lies, they will respond." Naro felt his throat tighten. "And if I speak the truth?" Renea looked at him carefully. "Then you become part of it." Suddenly, the black ship vanished, blinked out without sound. Gone. But the message remained. Naro stood still, heart racing. The silence wasn't silence. It was a warning. And now he had to decide. Return to the council and tell their version of the truth, or bring the real one to light. Either way, Earth would be watching. The moment Naro stepped onto the council station, everything felt different. Guards stood straighter. Cameras followed him. Whispers moved through the halls like shadows. He wasn't just a scholar now. He was a threat. He had returned from the one place no one was allowed to go, Earth. He walked slowly, clutching the datapad tight in his hand. The message was still there. "We remember your face." He didn't fully understand what it meant, but deep inside, he knew he had been changed. Not just watched, marked. Renea had warned him. The council would try to stop the truth, not because they didn't believe it, but because they already knew it. At the top level of the station, he entered the council hall. 12 beings sat in high chairs, their bodies different. Some tall and thin, some small and covered in scales, others glowing with light. But their eyes were the same, sharp, cold, and full of power. Naro bowed, pretending to be calm. "State your reason for coming," said Councillor Velfar, a being with a face like cracked stone. "I've returned from the old system," Naro said, "the one once known as Sol. I visited Earth." Gasps filled the chamber. Several councillors stood. "That system is forbidden," one hissed. "I know," Naro said, "but I had to see it, and I saw more than ruins." He stepped forward and placed the datapad on the platform. The image lit up. Earth, green and blue, untouched. Then came the message from the statue. "We chose silence. not weakness. The counselors grew quiet. Counselor Velfar spoke first. That message, it could be faked. No, Naro said firmly. I didn't fake it. And I wasn't the first to see it. Renaya saw it years ago. That's why she disappeared. She was exiled for spreading dangerous lies. Another counselor snapped. Naro looked up. No, she was silenced for knowing the truth. Silence filled the hall. Then a new voice spoke. Counselor Zira, an old, wise-looking being with silver eyes, leaned forward. Tell us what you saw. Naro took a deep breath. Earth is not destroyed. It is alive, protected, hidden, but not dead. The humans chose to leave. They weren't defeated. They weren't wiped out. They just stopped speaking to us, and they've been watching ever since. They're extinct, someone whispered. No, Naro said. They're quiet. That's different. They left watchers. I saw one of their black ships appear after I left Earth. It didn't attack. It just watched. Then it sent me this. He tapped the datapad again. The words appeared in bold letters. We remember your face. The council chamber was dead silent. Then Counselor Velfar stood. That is exactly why this knowledge is dangerous. Do you know what panic this would cause? What fear would spread? The people believe humanity is gone. They feel safe. If we tell them Earth still breathes, they will ask why we lied. They will ask if war is coming. Then tell them the truth, Naro said. Counselor Zira raised a hand. The truth is not a weapon, Velfar. It's a light, one that should not be hidden. They were banned for a reason, Velfar snapped. You weren't alive during the last war. You didn't see what humans were becoming. Weapons that could twist suns. Ships that moved through gravity like it was water. Minds that solved problems before we even understood the questions. They scared us. But they never attacked us, Naro said. We feared what they could do, not what they did. Exactly, Velfar shouted. Fear is power. If we had not acted, they would have ruled us all. Or maybe, Naro said softly, they would have helped us grow. The room shook with tension. Counselor Zira stood. I propose we tell the truth. Open the records. End the ban. Seconded, said another counselor quietly. But Velfar pounded his staff. I will not vote for our own doom. You don't get to vote, said a deep new voice. Everyone froze. It came not from the council seats, but from the center of the room. A black shadow appeared, tall, human-shaped, made of light and darkness both. Its presence pulled the air around it. The room dimmed. Every counselor rose. The shadow stepped forward and spoke again. You erased our name. You banned our world. You told the stars we were gone. But we remember. Velfar stumbled back. This is not possible. The shadow smiled. You taught others to forget us, but not all did. This one, it nodded to Naro, chose truth over comfort. And so we came. Counselor Zira stepped forward, trembling. Why now? Because silence was broken, the shadow said. He went to Earth. He looked at the statue. He read our warning. And now, the galaxy will remember. Naro stepped beside the figure. What happens now? The shadow turned to him. Now you speak. Not lies. Not fear. Just truth. That's all we ever needed. Then the shadow faded, disappearing like smoke in the wind. The council chamber was still. Then Counselor Zira looked at Naro. You will write it. Everything you saw. Everything you learned. And we will show it to the stars. Naro nodded. And far above them, in the dark sky of space, dozens of silent black ships waited, watching, but not moving. They had waited for centuries. Now they waited no longer. The silence was broken. And truth had returned. Would you like part 6 next? After the council meeting ended, the galaxy didn't sleep. News moved fast, too fast. First came whispers. Earth is not dead. Then, faster than light itself, entire systems knew. Governments demanded answers. Old historians wept. Religious leaders panicked. Soldiers sharpened weapons. Some believed the truth. Others called it lies. But all of them agreed on one thing. The humans were not gone. And worse, they might come back. Naro sat alone in a quiet chamber deep under the council hall. It was once used for storing old war records, but now it was his writing room. Counselor Zira had given him access to all sealed files, even the ones marked Kilas Obmega, the highest level of secrecy. He read for hours. He saw documents never meant for anyone's eyes. He watched videos from before the ban. What he saw changed everything. There was one report that shook him the most. It was a recording from a battle near the edge of the Orion Barrier, almost 400 years ago. A council fleet had tried to control a minor mining world. The humans had no warships there, just one orbital relay station. The fleet commander warned them to surrender. They didn't respond. Instead, the station released a simple message: please leave. The commander ignored it. He fired a warning shot. Then, everything stopped. The fleet's systems shut down. Not destroyed, just off. Shields, weapons, gravity control, even oxygen support. One by one, the ships froze in space, powerless. Then came the human message. This was mercy. Do not test silence again. No ship was destroyed. No one died. But the message was clear. Earth had chosen to disappear, but not because it was weak, because it had something worse than war. It had control. They could end a fleet without firing a shot. Naro leaned back, eyes wide. This was the real reason the ban happened, not because of hate or revenge, but because the council was afraid of silence, afraid of what humans could do without saying a word. And now, the silence was over. He stood and walked out into the hallway. There, waiting for him, was Renea. You saw it, she said quietly. I did, Naro replied. It wasn't just silence. It was a warning, a quiet one, but strong. Renea nodded. The galaxy doesn't know how to handle quiet threats. They only understand fire and blood. But humans, they never needed to shout. Why didn't they destroy the council back then? Naro asked. They had the power. Because they didn't want to rule. They just wanted to leave. To grow alone. And when we pushed too far, they showed us what they could do, without even using violence. But now the stars are waking up, Naro said. The truth is out. And not everyone will react with peace, Renea warned. Some will beg for protection. Others will prepare for war. Naro looked up. And Earth? What will they do? Renea sighed. That depends on us. Across the galaxy, chaos bloomed. On the trade world of Chorus, riots broke out. Protesters screamed. The council lied. While ships burned above them. On Velkar Prime, weapons factories increased production. Fear became fuel. And in the dark edges of space, black ships moved again, just a little. Never seen fully, never caught. Just felt. A presence that whispered, you were warned. Back in the council hall, an emergency meeting was held. All 12 counselors were present. Naro was there, too, seated beside Zira. Counselor Velfar stood, his face pale. We have a choice, he said. We either admit our mistakes and try to fix them, or we prepare for war. There is no war, Counselor Zira said. Only fear. If we speak with Earth, not as rulers but as listeners, there may still be peace. Speak with them. Velfar scoffed. They haven't spoken in 400 years. Zira looked at Naro. They spoke to him. Naro stood. His voice was calm but strong. They don't want our power. They don't want our planets. They don't even want revenge. But they do want truth. And we've hidden that for too long. A quiet beep came from Zira's wrist. She tapped it. A projection appeared above the table. It was a message, a live one.